Welcome everyone back to another episode, number 6.
Karen, aren't you going to ask me why I'm talking like this?
No. It's March 25th, 2020. What's wrong, dear?
Oh, nothing. I was just going to say today's show is brought to you by Sir Kensington's Chipotle mayonnaise, and it is very good, yes. I started putting Chipotle and mayonnaise together in the restaurants thinking I invented it, but it is a real product, and I love this stuff. Thank you, Sir Kensington. It's a great product. You can get it on Amazon. You know, can't get all things on Amazon, time being, but you can get this, and it is very delicious. So, thank you, Sir Kensington.
Oh, as always, we're gonna start off our show by checking in on the mood meter here.
Yes, the mood meter.
Let's
Yes.
see.
Is there an emoji with a monocle? Yes. All right, I'll stop.
No, you don't have to stop. That's fine.
Oh, she's supportive.
Oh yeah. However, there is an emoji, but there's the confident one. See, that would be Joe right there. You know, in the green quadrant.
Oh, good.
But I'm going to say that I'm, kind of in between yellow and green today. So I'm kind of content.
Yes. There's a lot to be happy about today. By now you all know they did. Well, the Senate reached an agreement to give out some checks. A lot of people will be getting that $1,200 check. And there's tiers to it also. Like if you're also in the unemployment category, you'll get even more on top of that. So things are rolling with that, thank God. Two parties came to an agreement. Some things have been worked out. So that's the big news today. And I can honestly say this is rare, but it seems like there's reasons for both parties to be happy today. Things are moving. Want another political thing? Or you want to
give us another political, and then we'll go back to something.
Of course, the other big thing is Trump put Easter Sunday in people's mind as a day that we could be back and going to church. To many people, that sounds pathetic. It would just spread the virus. But what I personally think is interesting, I could remember when he was running and marketing people, sales people said, it's always a strategy to put an image in people's heads, and obviously controversial. The image before was the wall. People had that in their mind. It was like, if you wanted it, that was your goal. You could envision it. Yeah, the wall. I think he took that same strategy, and let me put in people's mind. On Easter Sunday, we'll be back in church. We'll be back to life as it used to be. So there's different thoughts on it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just noticed that. Put the image in the citizens' minds, and the rest will play out. I highly doubt that we'll be back to normal by Easter Sunday, but it's a nice thought.
Well, speaking about government and revenue, yesterday marked the first time in U.S. history that the box office had a $0 revenue. So that's pretty sad, especially since, I am so blessed to be involved in 2 upcoming movies. So hopefully things get back to normal.
Hopefully you get more revenue than that.
I hope so.
I also have a movie theater story. So we didn't even know that, so that's pretty good. But in China, in Wuhan, if you're going back to the movie theater, you could expect to see this in the USA also when things get a little bit back to normal. Movie theater spacing, you cannot sit right next to anybody, even if it's your wife. Even if you don't get along, you might like the one space seating. That they're putting that in China, and talk about visuals, you can imagine why. People cannot sit right next to each other at the movie theater. They'll have to space out. Sporting events might be the same way.
What's that song? Don't stand so close to me. Oh, so Sting. We saw it. Yeah.
Classroom.
See, listen to that. Yeah. Isn't it so crazy? You're way ahead of your time, Mr. Sting.
I love the ska beat. I love the reggae Caribbean beat. Sting was such a master.
Yeah, he was awesome.
We saw him.
Really chill. We did.
We
Up
did.
in Jacksonville.
Thank you to a coworker. If she ever sees this, she knows who she is. Gave us free tickets to go see Sting up in Jacksonville. We don't even get to Jacksonville much. That was amazing. In the Jaguar Stadium, they have a section set off for performances. We really enjoyed it. So thank you. You know who you are.
Yeah, so last night, I had like a cool dream. I don't know. I was like on a bus, but I was going to the Grammy Awards. And I got to meet Dolly Parton and Janet Jackson, and I had a conversation with Janet Jackson because she had a child later on in life. It was really so interesting. So, you wonder how God works his vision.
And what did Dolly Parton have to say?
Dolly Parton, well, we have the same birthday, so she's like my, twin.
I will say, of all the celebrities I've seen on television, she seems very, very genuine.
Yeah.
And like when she talked about Kenny Rogers, you could tell she wasn't thinking like, how do I have to act in front of America when talking about Kenny. It was from the heart. She wouldn't know any other way than from the heart, and that's a pretty good way to be. So I applaud Dolly Parton on that. I don't really like country music, but certainly she has the personality that we could all, I don't know, aspire to enjoy.
And maybe when this is all over, we can get to Dollywood. That would be really cool.
That won't be the first thing on the list, but I don't know.
You never know.
Maybe if they move it to Miami, if they move Dollywood to Miami Beach, then I will go there.
I'm not sure about that, but also let's take this moment to remember the great and the powerful Aretha Franklin. It was her birthday in heaven today.
Certainly a big influence on your singing.
Yeah, definitely. And my lip syncing. Shout out to Carnival Cruise Lines when you get back.
Well, they need more than a shout out.
I know, they really do. No, they're, helping.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned them because the big thing is, I probably came off as very Republican, very capitalism yesterday. Well, that's fine. But today I want to point out that the reason this thing is passing more so today is because they took out a lot of the corporate loans. They want to help the small businesses more than the corporations, and that's great. The billionaires will know how to stay billionaires. They don't need any more government help. But the small businesses, and this is great too, that the Democrats pushed for, they pushed for, as long as you keep people on your payroll, we're going to give you some money, we're going to give you some loans, but you cannot fire your workers or else we won't give you that money. And that is much applause. Schumer was one of the big people behind that. Saw him on TV this morning. He's a pretty good speaker, and he did have a soundbite that stuck out in my mind where he said that people who write the bills should not be benefiting from the bills. How true is that? I think both parties should agree on that. At least the people, maybe the actual Congress people might not agree in their hearts anyway. But I think Democrats and Republicans should both agree our government, I won't even call them government workers, I'll call them our government's hierarchy, whatever you want to call, they should not be benefiting from the laws that they write.
And that goes back to a comment that I said in a previous episode about, getting back to reality here, really tune in. What's really going on? Think about others before yourself. It's,
what are things that we all want?
That we all want. And, we talked about Dollywood, and sadly enough, we have some sad news too. Yesterday, we were taking in the sunshine and trying to get out of the house for a little bit, and we were the only two at the park until they came.
Playing basketball,
with
getting
their
some sun. And we weren't the only ones there. There were older couples playing pickleball there. We got to meet some nice people from Ohio.
There was about six of us.
And we had the same mindset of we're here, we're outside, but we're not hugging and kissing each other. We're social distancing, we're getting fresh air and exercise. And lo and behold, some people from the city, the municipality, should I say Ponce Inlet, beautiful community.
Yes.
If you go there, you'll say, oh my God, you guys live so close to there. Yes, we do. And they kind of, in a comedic way, announced that we would have to leave soon because they're closing down the playground. I said, oh, you're changing the hours, and wishful thinking.
Joking. They're like, when are you reopening? And they're like, no,
so
we're closing.
If I want to play basketball now, I have to do it right here in this house. And I can't be stopped, so I'm going to do that anyway.
And that's why I have a bike. Huffy.
Yeah, Karen's getting her bike
I
soon.
can't wait about that, and I did already look at how to assemble this.
Oh God, I have to not get involved because it could only be bad.
Well, that might be a great episode, though. You know what?
If ever I foresaw a fight, it would be my wife and I building a bicycle that could have easily been assembled by somebody at Walmart or Amazon.
What's that other song about? A Brand New Key, I think. I ride my bicycle past your window last night.
Are you talking about I got a brand new pair of roller
Oh my
skates?
gosh, maybe I should get roller skates. Yes. Yeah, brand new key. Yep. Right?
We'll have to learn
I love
the lyrics
that
before we
song.
do that one.
Melanie, I think it is.
And you used to be a roller skater.
Oh yeah. True story. I used to roller skate, not rollerblade. I enjoy roller skating.
And I like
We had a
rollerblading.
bunch of
Well, I had rollerblades.
roller skating parties, back at
Do you
in
remember?
McAdoo.
Well, yeah, I wasn't
Right?
there. But yeah, that was a big thing in what was that place called?
No, that's where I'm like
Some
throwing
little
a flag.
club in McAdoo would have roller skating. I was never part of that culture. I was too young, but I think that's more so your people.
Yeah.
As I subtly point out our age difference.
Why are we drawing a blank?
But I was
with
never,
this?
well, because we're not from there, and I
No,
never
but I
even
had
did
so
it.
many birthday parties there. I feel so bad.
I wouldn't worry about it.
The Strand. I even shot like part of a little movie there, actually.
Why is the
Long
media
time ago.
trying to hide how roller skating rinks are doing in the midst of all this? And that brought me to another thing. I'm going to say something sad. I didn't even write it in my notes, but I did see it this morning. Spain has so many deaths that they took an ice rink and they're using it as a temporary morgue. So that's terrible. And it's the type of thing where I say, listen, there's a lot wrong with America, but you haven't seen that happen yet. I knock on wood, but I doubt it will. So consider that. It's terrible. And be happy that that's not you right now.
So I'm going to interrupt this sadness
Please do.
for a standard process product called inositol. So those of you who are really fighting your sugar cravings, this is a great mineral support of that. So once again, you want to see your NRT specialist. But inositol, you could crush it up, and it's actually, you could just chew on it and let it dissolve. So this is one of my favorites.
What I like to do even is I'll put a little Sir Kensington's on it, and it's good because it's no sugar. You could get that savory taste.
Right.
So listen, I saw on Fox News this morning, Joe Buck, the baseball commentator, the famous commentator, was doing a thing where you could send him videos of your everyday life and he'll commentate on them. So that's kind of a cool thing. And he said genuinely it's one of the most there you go. One of the most interesting, most exciting things he's done commentating wise to get his mind out of sports, and he'll commentate on people like making burgers on the grill. I guess they're not supposed to be doing that, but there you go. You could send him videos of your everyday life, and he'll commentate. He'll show you just how exciting your everyday life could be with the right voice to it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So speaking of which, any songs or music that you would like to hear, and eventually we're going live with this. But for now, until we get used to our new norm, we are limited on time in the morning. However, we'll take a poll and see, where we stand. Eastern Central Time, throw a time out to us so that we know when we could,
But we do have some early bird fans out on the West Coast.
In Vegas.
Yeah. And they tease me when I say West Coast because Vegas is the desert. I just think it sounds cool, so I'm going to keep calling it that, the West Coast.
Yes.
Even though they're 4 hours from the seashore.
Let's see, did we cover everything that we wanted to talk about?
Well,
Prince Charles, I just heard, was diagnosed with corona.
I didn't know that.
I just had seen
You can
it
tell
a few minutes ago.
BBC wasn't one of my news sources this morning. I thought I would have heard that.
A friend of mine just posted it, so she's a pretty reliable source.
Sir Kensington, what should we do? Wow, Prince Charles. Well, you would hope, well, maybe some people wouldn't hope, but he probably has access to the best medicine. So if Sir Charles runs into trouble from this, maybe we'll all start to take it a little more seriously, because for royalty to go down by way of the corona, that would not be very good. I didn't even know that. I'm actually going to look that up, because if you're making it up, I'm not going to be happy.
Fake news.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It better not be, but...
Well, we're hoping it's not. Well, you know what? We're sorry that happened to him.
Yes, it's terrible.
It's terrible. But,
it should have happened to Camilla.
Oh no.
Our fans in London know what I'm talking about. Other people are alienated very much so. I should mention, this is interesting to see how the news work. When I saw that Joe Buck thing on Fox News, I put on CNN, and we're almost at time.
We're almost at time.
They were talking about how New York is still so low on supplies, so you could see how you might hear a good story, but there's certainly bad things still going on. A lot of people are getting involved in the effort of making the masks. That's great.
I was just going to say that too.
It's almost like reliving what it would have been like in wartime, where we all got to get behind the effort. And I could think of
we had a discussion
no better
about
feel-good
this
story.
Ah. We did. I mentioned that to him. I said, wait a minute, doesn't this remind you now of like factory workers over
there,
here?
over there. You were thinking that song too?
See? Wow, we must really be
well,
in sync
but we don't know if
today.
you really were thinking of that song. Were you?
The Yanks are coming.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we're at about time. We have some good energy.
so
we might
have
as well
great
close it
energy
up soon.
today.
Anything else you want to say?
No. But let's shout out to the, the mask makers.
One thing I'll bring up in another, mask makers, thank you. That's awesome that you're doing that. Your energy is in the right place. I would like to bring up on a later episode, in the future, we might see a more common thing of government sending people money, not as unemployment, not as disability, but just as a way to keep the economy going. I'm sure a lot of people would love that. This is what Andrew Yang was big on. That might be the way of the future, because there's not going to be jobs for everybody because our computers can do everything. But that's a discussion for another time.
But thank you so much for watching.
Little teaser.
Throw in your ideas about the time.
Thank you for second section.
And that's what's all.
All right, well, you were supposed to do it in an accent, but we'll wrap it up. We're at about 17 minutes. Love you, baby. Great episode. I think we're starting to become more rapid and more beep, 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 beep. All right, you can hit stop. Bye-bye, everyone.
Guys.